Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Business Morning on Channels Television, and today we're looking at the insurance sector. Just on Monday, the National Insurance Commission organized a summit in order to bring in different stakeholders together to discuss the way forward for this sector. These stakeholders were expected to bring ideas on how to actually move the sector forward. And of course, I have one of the participants there who happens to be the Director General, Nigeria Insurers Association, Mr. Thomas Olorundare. Thank you very much, Mr. Olorundare. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. All right. Well, you were at the Insurance Summit. Looking at the present state of the economy, we've seen what's happening, the valuation of the naira and the implications, of course, the dwindling oil price. How timely is this summit, and where does the insurance sector come into all of this?
Yeah, thank you, and good morning, Chimeze. I want to believe that all these things are structured to just come about this time. Of course, the dwindling economy, as bad as people want to paint it. For me, I want to believe that the administration of this present administration seems to have seen this ahead of time, and that is why less emphasis is being put on petrol, on oil, and therefore they are trying to also expand the revenue base of the nation. It's not a program that done yesterday. In the last 2-3 years, that has been the emphasis of this administration. So I want to believe that coming at this time is still good. And for insurance, of course, what does the insurance stand for? Insurance is there so that other businesses might thrive. And that's why, as you are restructuring the other businesses, certainly insurance also must be a little bit ahead of these other businesses in terms of what it has to deliver and what it has to offer, so that if it's properly put together, it will be in a position to place role both to individuals and also to other businesses. All
right, now looking at this sector, how would you really assess its performance, particularly since the 2005 recapitalization exercise?
Yeah, you will, before 2000 recapitalization, we had many players, but most of them were fringe players who were just picking little businesses because of lack of capacity, financial capacity, and also human capital capacity. All those ones were lacking. But following the recapitalization that started in 2005 and ended in 2007, there has been a massive improvement in the structure and also in the ability of the sector to perform its role as business enhancement or as a financial intermediator. In 2007, the market volume in terms of premium income was, I think, about 100 million, thereabout, 100 billion. And in 2013, that has increased to about 300 billion. Even that one is a far cry from the potential of the market. Of course, if you are going to put that together, you will see that at least the reform of 2005 seems to be yielding some fruits. Of course, there had been some consolidation. There has been massive reduction in the total number of companies. There has been mergers, there have been acquisitions since the 2005-2007 recapitalization. So to that extent, we can say that the reform that was started in 2005 within the insurance sector is yielding a lot of fruit. But I will probably, as this discussion goes on, I will also talk about the efforts of the government in this area and also some of the gaps that I think that we need to fill.
Well, before we talk about talking about those gaps, I believe it's just the challenges perhaps the sector is facing.
Yeah.
You did mention the potentials.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. What are the potentials and, of course, investment opportunity in this sector?
I'll tell you, it's quite massive. Nigeria, we talk about a population of over 170 million. and over 70 million adult population. As of today, we're talking about 3 million policy holders. That is a misnomer in terms of relationship. You can't be talking of a population of over 70 million insurable adults, and you're talking of 3 million. It doesn't, there's no correlation when you are looking at economic development or a sector that is meant to play a very vital role within the system. But part of the agenda of that summit is to see how this figure can move to its rightful place. Also, I must tell you that there are a lot of things that definitely we have to put in place if the sector is to play its proper role. And of course, some of those things will be...
Yeah, we'll have to talk about some of them. Well, you know, sometimes I wonder why a lot of people are yet to embrace insurance scheme or insurance business. You find out that aside from perhaps big companies and few individuals who understand the importance of insurance, most people don't even think it's a necessary thing. Someone buys a car, an expensive car, the person doesn't think it's necessary to insure that car or even insure your life. So why is it so?
Yeah, I will start from, let's start from the norm. You and I. Most of the time, if we want to acquire any asset, it's either we go by way of self-saving. The credit facilities are not usually the means of acquiring assets. Of course, the credit culture of an economy also goes a long way to determine the development of insurance in those sectors. We don't have credit culture in this part of the world, and this is quite key to the, you know, is one of the things that are actually working against the development of the market. You can imagine, of course, if you take a mortgage loan, it becomes mandatory for you to take insurance so that the interests of the lender will also be protected. Much more the interests of you that you are borrowing, so that if anything happens, rather than to repossess the property, somebody is there to pick up the bill, you know. But we don't have much of that in this part of the world. And some of those big institutions, and I was that's looking at it from the consumer and angle. Also looking at it from the supply side, that is the insurance company. Also, the insurance sector, where I belong, is yet to get to a point where we will make people really appreciate the value of insurance. And that's what we're working on from time to time. The level of awareness is quite low. The financial literacy in this part of the world is quite low. Even those are big men, and I mean, when you talk about capital market, don't assume that they know much. No, it's not like that. By the time you go one-on-one with most of them, you say they know very little about some of these financial instruments. It's the same thing with insurance. It's even worse hit. Most people don't just understand what insurance, when you talk about insurance, the only thing they know about insurance is motor vehicle, you know.
And a third party insurance.
And third party for that matter. But that third party, they don't even understand it. What they really understand is because the law says we must have it. What are you supposed to have? They don't know. So these are some of the issues. But of course, I must say that so much effort has been put into creating the awareness, but still is far below what is required to galvanize the market.
Now, still talking about the reason people are yet to embrace insurance scheme, has to do with perhaps some of the ethical practices amongst the operators in terms of building confidence. You know, how much confidence do people have on these operators? You find out that someone who perhaps would have taken insurance scheme and then maybe something happens, an accident or something, for you to get paid becomes a problem. So perhaps that discourages a lot of people.
Yeah, which means I must tell you, most of those things you hear are more of perception. I think what I will ask you to do the next time somebody speak about that, find out exactly whether he or she was the one that really had the experience.
Okay.
It's a case of, you know, I think, or somebody said, you know, Because if we are saying that less than 3 million people have one form of policy or the other, where are the sum of the... I'm not removing the fact that we need to up our game in terms of service delivery. No, I'm not saying that. We certainly, the market needs to up its game in terms of service delivery. But I'm telling you, it's not as bad as painted. A lot of companies are paying claims. I will just quickly remind you, not too long ago, one of the companies that had a lot of fire incident, the insurance industry paid 6 billion in claims for one-on-one event. We had a flood issue somewhere around the Keja, also in respect of one other company. So much was paid in claim. So it's not a case of, I don't want to talk about individuals that have, whose fortunes have been restored as a result of insurance, because they just took the wise decision of taking insurance policy. So those ones are there. We need to, you see here, the culture of preservation is not there. The culture of maintenance is not there. We are quick to acquire, but we are not very quick to maintain. And part of the mechanism for maintenance is insurance.
All right, so what would be the major challenges of this sector?
Well, part of it, I would say, is that we need to create a high level, we need to sustain the awareness program. We need to, and we need to pass it through homes. We need to get it through the various structure of the system. More so, of course, I must say that the people's standard of living also affects their expenditure structure. I know that the government is doing a lot to create the middle class. Definitely when that one is achieved, many more, people will be able to get into it. But beyond that also, the market must make available products that address the needs of the people.
All right.
So that's
okay, fine. Just hold your thoughts. When we come back, we'll look at some of those agenda that the minister rolled out at the just concluded summit. Well, we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with this conversation. Just stay with us.